The crystalline alien huddles in the corner of loading bay 7, her fractured segments casting broken reflections across the metal floor of Interstellar Trade Station K9. No one approaches. Instead, the gathered crowd of aliens steps back, their reactions ranging from quiet whispers to outright sneers at her asymmetrical, chaotic form. Aaron James watches the scene unfold from his cargo inspector's station. His handheld scanner still displays the alert from the crashed stasis pod, an Elysian life form. Designation: Flora. The readings indicate severe genetic variance from standard Elysian parameters. Where most of her species display elegant, symmetrical crystalline patterns, Flora's structure appears shattered, misaligned segments pulsing with erratic bioluminescence. The crowd grows. A group of Centaurians, normally the picture of diplomatic restraint, mutter among themselves about genetic defects. Even the Proxima scholars, known for their scientific objectivity, maintain a careful distance while taking readings with their instruments. Potential biohazard detected, announces Chief Security Officer Kravtox through the station's comm system. All personnel clear loading bay 7. Containment protocols will commence in 3 minutes. Aaron's military medic training kicks in. During the Centaurian Wars, he learned to read alien distress signals, and Flora's erratic crystal pulses match every warning sign. Her attempts at telepathic communication broadcast fragments of fear and confusion into the surrounding space. "Hold containment protocols," Aaron calls out, stepping forward. He pulls up his credentials on his wrist display. Aaron James, Certified Xenobiological Safety Inspector. Under Station Regulation 47B, I'm claiming temporary custody for assessment. The security chief's upper appendages twitch with annoyance. "Inspector, that specimen shows signs of critical genetic instability. Unstable Elysian crystals have caused level 5 detonation events." "Which is exactly why proper assessment protocols exist," Aaron counters, though he knows the stakes. Taking custody of Flora could end his career if anything goes wrong. One crystal detonation could destroy half the station. The crowd watches as Aaron approaches Flora. Her crystalline body dims slightly, fear signals reducing in intensity. He activates his credential transfer, officially accepting custody for the next 72 hours. "Come with me," he says softly to Flora, gesturing toward the exit. "My quarters are in Section D4. We'll get you sorted out there." As they leave the loading bay, whispers follow them. Concerns about defective Elysians aboard the station. Speculation about Aaron's sanity. Predictions of disaster. But Aaron keeps walking, Flora close behind, her irregular crystal patterns catching the station's lights beautiful in their own chaotic way, despite what anyone else might think. The door to Aaron's quarters slides open with a soft hiss. Flora's crystal segments pulse with muted colors as she enters, her movements hesitant. Aaron activates the environmental controls, adjusting the temperature and humidity to standard Elysian parameters. His medical scanner beeps insistently. The readings make his breath catch. Flora's crystalline matrix shows dangerous instability patterns, energy fluctuating through her structure in chaotic waves. Her genetic variance exceeds anything he's encountered in his xenobiology training. "Please sit," Aaron gestures to a reinforced chair. The scanner's warning indicators flash red. "I need to contact someone." Dr. Marcus Morris arrives within minutes, his weathered face creasing with concern as he studies the readings. These energy signatures. "Aaron, her entire crystal matrix is degrading. Can you help her?" Marcus runs his hands through his gray hair. "Maybe. But we'll need specialized equipment." He taps his comm unit. "Medical Bay, this is Dr. Morris. Emergency requisition for an E-Class crystal stabilization unit." "Requisition denied," Chief Kravtox's voice cuts through the channel. "Those units are reserved for standard species configurations." "Override Medical Authority Code Morris 794, Marcus snaps. "This is a life-threatening situation." 20 minutes later, station technicians install the stabilization unit. The device hums to life, projecting a containment field that helps regulate Flora's energy emissions. Her crystal patterns steady somewhat, though irregular pulses still ripple through her structure. It's not a cure, Marcus says quietly, checking the readings. But it buys us time. A high-pitched wail suddenly pierces the air, not from Flora but from somewhere deeper in the station. Flora's segments flash brilliant colors, and she turns toward the sound despite several bulkheads between them. Someone's in distress, she projects telepathically. Her thought patterns carry unusual depth, far more complex than typical Elysian communications. A child, trapped, afraid. Aaron checks the station schematic. Maintenance sector, restricted area. They find the Proximan child wedged in a maintenance shaft, panic evident in its luminous eyes. Before Aaron can call for assistance, Flora approaches. Her crystal structure emanates calming frequencies that reach the child on a profound emotional level. Within moments, the young Proximan crawls out willingly. The victory is short-lived. 3 days later, a delegation of Elysians arrives at the station. Their leader, High Curator Prismatica, towers over Aaron in his office, her perfect crystalline form a stark contrast to Flora's chaos. The specimen must be transferred to our restoration facility, Prismatica declares. Her pattern disrupts the harmony of our species. She's not a specimen, Aaron says. She's a person. Intelligence Officer Drake pulls Aaron aside after the meeting. Those restoration facilities. Drake's voice drops to a whisper. They're processing centers. They break down defective Elysians for raw materials. Marcus provides temporary protection by declaring Flora a medical research subject under Section 31, but it only delays the inevitable. Research institutions across 3 sectors begin requesting access to study her unique abilities. Aaron checks the scanner again. Flora's readings grow worse each hour. The stabilization unit struggles to contain the mounting energy fluctuations. 7 days, Marcus announces after reviewing the latest data. Maybe less before critical failure. Aaron watches Flora interact with the stabilization field, her fractured segments creating unexpected patterns in the energy matrix. There has to be a solution, one that doesn't involve either a processing facility or a research lab specimen container. Aaron's attention snaps to his handheld scanner as another alarm sounds. The energy readings from Flora spike dangerously, causing the device's display to flicker. The stabilization unit emits a high-pitched whine as it struggles to contain the increasing fluctuations. "These readings don't make sense," Dr. Morris mutters, adjusting the scanner's settings. Her crystal structure isn't degrading, it's trying to grow. Look at these microfracture patterns. The overhead lights in Section D4 flicker, casting intermittent shadows across Flora's crystalline form. Her segments pulse with intense colors, each wave of energy causing minor disruptions in nearby systems. A maintenance alert chimes through the station's comm system. "Engineering team to Section D4, the automated message announces. Level 2 power fluctuation detected. The door slides open, revealing Thomas Walker, his weathered face set in familiar lines of concentration. Aaron recognizes the former combat engineer from their shared deployment during the Centaurian Wars. "So this is what's messing with my power grid," Walker says, scanning the room with his diagnostic tool. His eyes widen at the readings. "These energy signatures. I've seen something similar before." "Where?" Aaron asks. "Experimental crystal power systems back during the war." Walker approaches Flora, his initial gruffness softening as he studies her structure. The resonance patterns are nearly identical. A sharp crack echoes through the room as another microfracture forms in Flora's surface. The stabilization unit's containment field wavers. "Unit at 90% capacity," the system warns. Before they can discuss Walker's observations further, Aaron's comm unit activates. "Inspector James," Administrator Thompson's voice carries clear authority. The station council is convening for an emergency session. Curator Prismatica has filed a formal complaint regarding your guest. The council chamber fills with tension as Kravtox presents his evidence. Holographic displays show cascading system failures throughout Section D4, each coinciding with Flora's energy spikes. The specimen represents an imminent threat to station operations, the security chief concludes. She is an aberration, Curator Prismatica adds, her perfect crystalline form catching the chamber's lights. Our restoration facilities are equipped to handle such cases. The council members murmur among themselves until Dr. K. Lara steps forward. The Proximan scientist's multiple eyes focus intently on the data displays. These patterns, she says, manipulating the holographic readouts. They're not random degradation. Look at the frequency modulation, it's structured, complex. My team's analysis suggests this could revolutionize our understanding of crystalline consciousness. Walker pulls Aaron aside during a brief recess. That old crystallization chamber in Manufacturing Section 6, he whispers. With some modifications, we might be able to match her resonance frequencies, create a controlled environment for whatever's happening to her crystal structure. They work through the night, repurposing the chamber's systems. Walker's hands move with practiced efficiency across the controls, while Dr. Morris monitors Flora's increasingly unstable readings. The transfer to the modified chamber begins smoothly until Flora's crystal structure emits a massive energy surge. Emergency lights activate as power fails across multiple station sectors. Aaron stays at the chamber's controls, ignoring the burning sensation of crystal radiation against his skin as he manually adjusts the containment fields. Power restored to critical systems, Walker announces after several tense minutes, but maintaining these field levels. We're pushing way past safety limits. Administrator Thompson arrives personally to assess the situation. You have 48 hours, Inspector, he states firmly. Either prove she can be stabilized safely or she goes with the Elysian Council. Dr. Kalara's instruments detect something new in Flora's crystal frequencies patterns that suggest attempted communication. The Proximan scientist works frantically to decode the signals, while Aaron watches the chamber's power levels climb dangerously high. Flora's segments pulse with increasing intensity, each flash accompanied by complex energy signatures that Dr. Kalara's team struggles to interpret. The modified chamber hums ominously as it channels power far beyond its design capabilities. Aaron checks the readouts again. The station's power grid strains under the load, but Flora's newest crystal growths show signs of stabilizing within the modified field. Now, they just need to decode what she's trying to tell them before time runs out. We need more power. Walker's fingers flew across the crystallization chamber's controls, rerouting energy through auxiliary systems. These readings are off the charts. Aaron watched the status displays flicker as another energy surge rippled through Flora's structure. The chamber's containment field wavered, struggling to channel the massive power output. I might have a solution, Walker said, pulling up the station's power distribution schematics. We can use the industrial capacitors from manufacturing to create controlled energy bursts instead of this constant drain. It'll mean shutting down non-essential systems in sectors F through K, but a sharp crack interrupted him as new crystal formations sprouted along Flora's surface. Dr. Kalara's sensors chirped urgently. These patterns, the Proximan scientist's multiple eyes widened. They're forming a coherent network structure. The fractured segments aren't degrading, they're reorganizing into some kind of information processing matrix. Before Aaron could respond, his comm unit activated. Inspector James. Colonel Harrison's voice carried military precision. My team has been monitoring your situation. That crystalline network you've discovered has significant strategic implications. I'm classifying this as a priority military matter. "Sir, with respect," Aaron began, but Harrison cut him off. "This isn't a request, Inspector. Earth Military Command has already authorized protective custody status." The chamber's warning system blared. Flora's crystal structure pulsed rapidly, emitting complex energy signatures that caused nearby displays to distort. Multiple security breaches detected in Sector D, the station's AI announced. Elysian life signs approaching restricted area. Aaron activated the emergency protocols he and Walker had installed. Electromagnetic barriers hummed to life, creating an impenetrable shield against crystalline entities. Chief Kravtox must have given them override codes, Walker muttered, reinforcing the security lockdown. Dr. Morris burst through the door, medical scanner in hand. "Aaron, look at this." He projected a holographic display showing Flora's evolving crystal structure. These growth patterns are forming a sophisticated communication array. She's accessing subspace frequencies that standard Elysian crystals can't detect. The chamber's sensors recorded a surge of incoming transmissions. Flora's segments flashed in response, interpreting and decoding the encrypted data streams. "By the stars," Dr. Kalara whispered, analyzing the decoded messages. "These are internal communications from the Elysian restoration facilities. They're not rehabilitation centers, they're weapons development installations." Administrator Thompson arrived minutes later, reviewing the evidence on a secure tablet. "This changes everything." He authorized emergency power allocation to maintain the chamber's stability. Trade Master Petrov stormed into the control room. "Thompson, the Merchants Guild demands immediate action. The Elysians are threatening to suspend all commerce. Do you realize what that would do to our economy?" "What I realize," Thompson replied, "is that we've uncovered evidence of illegal weapons development using sentient beings as raw materials." The chamber's subspace sensors suddenly activated. Flora's newly formed communication array broadcast a series of complex signals into deep space. Within hours, they received a response. "Unknown vessels detected at long-range," the station's AI reported. "Matching Elysian crystal signatures, but configuration differs from registered designs." A communication request flashed across the main screen. The face that appeared belonged to an Elysian, but her crystal structure showed similar irregularities to Flora's. "I am Crystal Elder Nova," she announced. "We are the survivors. Flora's signal reached our sanctuary in the Outer Rim. We request immediate asylum." The station's diplomatic channels erupted with activity. The Elysian Council demanded Flora's surrender. Earth military prepared to dispatch a protection fleet. Trade guilds filed formal protests. "Multiple Elysian warships detected on approach vector," the AI warned. Aaron checked the chamber's power levels. The industrial capacitors maintained stability, but only just. Flora's crystal structure continued to evolve, each new formation revealing deeper layers of complexity. As Earth military vessels moved to intercept the approaching Elysian fleet, Aaron realized they were running out of time to find a solution that wouldn't end in diplomatic catastrophe or worse. Dr. Kalara's instruments detected another incoming transmission from Elder Nova's group. The message contained technical specifications for a modified crystal stabilization protocol developed by other survivors of the restoration facilities. But implementing it would require resources that neither Earth military nor the Trade Guild would easily surrender. Station sensors tracked both fleets as they drew closer. Flora's crystal matrix pulsed with increasing urgency, broadcasting new frequencies into subspace that neither the military nor the Elysians could decode. The station's warning klaxons blared as multiple ships emerged from hyperspace. Aaron watched the tactical display as 12 Elysian warships arranged themselves in an attack formation around Station K9. "Incoming transmission from Elysian command vessel," the AI announced. High Commander Crystallis's face materialized on the main screen, his crystalline features refracting light in sharp angles. This is your only warning. Surrender the defective specimen immediately, or we will take her by force. Administrator Thompson activated the station's diplomatic channel. This is a neutral trading post under Earth jurisdiction. Any hostile action will be considered an act of war. The chamber's sensors registered new energy signatures as 3 vessels materialized near the station's southern quadrant. Their hybrid design incorporated flowing crystal formations integrated with conventional hull plating. Crystal Elder Nova's ships, Dr. Kalara confirmed, multiple eyes tracking the sensor data. Their cloaking technology exceeds known Elysian capabilities. Walker's fingers danced across the crystallization chamber's controls. Flora's energy signature is stabilizing. Look at these interface patterns. Dr. Morris projected a holographic representation of Flora's neural structure. The crystal growth isn't random. It's forming coherent pathways, similar to organic synaptic networks. The station trembled as the Earth military response vessel, Defiant, dropped out of hyperspace between the Elysian fleet and K9. Admiral Sterling's weathered face appeared on the command channel. "Inspector James," Sterling nodded. "Seems you've stirred up quite a situation. Colonel Harrison briefed me on the way." Aaron guided Flora toward the station's primary communications array. Her crystal structure pulsed in harmony with the system's frequencies. Data streams flooded the monitoring stations as she began interpreting subspace distortions. "These readings," Dr. Kalara's voice carried terrifying excitement. "She's detecting weapon signatures from the Elysian ships, energy patterns consistent with processed crystalline matter." The evidence appeared on screens throughout the command center, detailed scans revealing weapons constructed from the remnants of restored Elysians. Trading Master Petrov entered with a delegation of Centaurian scientists led by Dr. Vexther. "The Merchants Guild has been monitoring the situation," Petrov announced. "We've maintained certain arrangements with Elder Nova's colony. Their crystal hybrid innovations represent significant economic potential." Dr. Vexther examined Flora's neural scans. "This is unprecedented. A completely new form of crystalline consciousness." The medical applications alone warning indicators flashed as the Elysian fleet moved into attack positions. Walker motioned Aaron toward the modified chamber controls. "Remember that frequency modulation we detected. If we broadcast it." "Do it," Aaron authorized. The chamber hummed as it transmitted Flora's unique resonance pattern. On the tactical display, energy fluctuations appeared throughout the Elysian fleet. Several ships broke formation as crew members began responding to the signal. Flora stepped from the chamber, her crystalline form now stable within the station's modified field. She approached the communications array, interfacing directly with its systems. The screens filled with stored memories countless Elysians subjected to restoration, their experiences preserved within her evolved neural network. "By the stars," Administrator Thompson whispered, watching the evidence unfold. He opened a channel to all 3 fleets. "High Commander Crystallis, I am invoking Section 7 of the Neutral Zone Treaty. These allegations require immediate investigation by the Interstellar Council." The Elysian commander's response carried terrifying fury. "This defective specimen threatens the purity of our entire species. We will not allow multiple power surges detected," the AI interrupted. "Station resources at critical levels maintaining current crystal stabilization fields." Aaron checked the readouts. They needed a permanent solution before the station's systems failed. The modified chamber could sustain Flora temporarily, but not indefinitely. And now, with 3 hostile fleets surrounding K9, time was running out. A new alert sounded from Dr. Kalara's instruments. Flora's neural network had detected something else in the subspace frequencies, a pattern that suggested a possible path forward, if they could decode it in time. Power fluctuations detected in primary grid, the AI announced. Crystal stabilization field integrity at 6 to 3% and declining. Walker's hands moved across the control panel, rerouting power through secondary systems. The industrial capacitors are maxing out. We've got maybe 20 minutes before total grid failure. We need options, Aaron said, watching the energy readings drop. Dr. Morris gestured to the holographic display showing Flora's neural patterns. Look at these resonance frequencies when she interfaces with Elder Nova's transmission. The crystal structure self-stabilizes during contact. Dr. K. Lara's multiple eyes focused on the data streams. Similar patterns detected from Nova's ships. Their hybrid crystal matrices form mutual support networks. Permission to dock, Elder Nova's voice came through the comm. We have volunteers ready to test crystal synchronization. Before Aaron could respond, Security Chief Kravtox burst into the command center. Inspector, Elysian strike team detected in maintenance shaft D7. They're using Crystal Tech stealth systems. How did they get past our sensors? Walker demanded. Because I gave them the codes, Kravtox admitted. But after seeing Flora's abilities, I cannot allow them to take her. The infiltration team is moving through section D4. Aaron activated the station's tactical display. Flora, can you track their movements? Flora's crystal structure pulsed as she interfaced with the station's sensor grid. Multiple red dots appeared on the schematic, showing the commandos' positions. Admiral Sterling, we need support teams at these coordinates, Aaron transmitted. Chief Kravtox, coordinate with station security to establish containment zones. Incoming transmission from Trade Master Petrov, the AI announced. Petrov's image appeared alongside a Centaurian scientist. Inspector, the Merchants Guild has developed prototype crystal hybrid shield generators with Elder Nova's colony. Dr. Vexther can modify your systems to create a resonant barrier. Power grid at 4 to 7%, Walker reported. Whatever we're doing, we need to do it fast. The station shuddered as the Elysian fleet's weapons powered up. On the tactical display, several of their weapon signatures flickered erratically. Their crystal-based weapons are destabilizing, Dr. K. Lara observed. The processed Elysian components retain partial consciousness. Multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace, the AI reported. Crystal signatures detected. The tactical display filled with new contacts as vessels from hidden Elysian colonies arrived, surrounding Crystallis's fleet in a defensive formation. Dr. Vexther worked with Walker at the shield controls, integrating crystal hybrid components. The modified barrier shimmer with iridescent energy, synchronized to Flora's unique frequency. Security breach in Section D4, the AI warned. Intruders approaching crystallization chamber. Aaron coordinated with Kravtox through the tactical net as station security engaged the infiltrators. Flora interfaced directly with the chamber's systems, broadcasting recorded memories through the section's neural interfaces. The security feed showed several Crystal Tech commandos stopping mid-advance, their own partially suppressed abilities awakening in response to Flora's transmission. Their stealth fields flickered and failed as their crystal structures began to resonate with her frequency. Engineer Walker, Admiral Sterling's voice came through the command channel. Earth military has authorized emergency deployment of experimental crystal hybrid power cores. Shuttles are inbound with equipment and technical teams. The station's power grid stabilized as the modified shield generators came online. Flora's crystal structure pulsed in harmony with the resonant barrier, strengthening both her matrix and the defensive field. More colonial ships arriving, the AI reported. Total count now exceeds Elysian Council fleet strength. The tactical display showed Crystallis's forces maintaining their blockade position, but their weapon systems remained offline, crystal components refusing to activate against their evolved kin. Aaron watched the power readings as Walker and Dr. Morris began integrating the new hybrid cores. The growing number of evolved Elysian refugees strained the station's resources, but the modified systems held steady. Flora's communication array detected more subspace signals calls for help from other hidden colonies and isolated survivors. Station K9's crystallization chamber had become a beacon, drawing together the scattered fragments of a fractured society. The command center's screens filled with incoming transmission, requests as representatives from the colonial ships sought docking clearance. Each arrival strengthened the growing network of evolved crystal consciousness centered on Flora's chamber. Dr. Kalara's instruments recorded the expanding web of neural connections. The collective crystal matrix is generating its own stabilization field. They're becoming self-sustaining. Trade Master Petrov reviewed supply manifest updates as more refugees arrived. We'll need to establish dedicated crystal hybrid manufacturing facilities. The demand for integration technology will only increase. The station's tactical net tracked multiple Elysian Council vessels moving to reinforce Crystallis's position. But with each passing hour, more colonial ships emerged from hiding, drawn by Flora's broadcast. Aaron studied the sensor readings, watching the power grid adapt to its new crystal hybrid architecture. They had created something unprecedented, a sanctuary where evolved Elysians could exist freely, protected by the very technology their council had tried to suppress. New contact detected, the AI announced. Large vessel approaching from Sector 7. Confirming vessel classification, the AI continued. Earth Defense Fleet Command ship adamant. Grand Admiral Thane Blackwood requesting immediate communication. The Admiral's weathered face appeared on the main display. Inspector James, I bring grave news. The Elysian Council has activated their entire battle fleet. This blockade is just the beginning. Engineer Walker's fingers flew across the crystal chamber's control panel, analyzing power fluctuations. His eyes widened as the readings shifted. Inspector, look at these resonance patterns. Flora's frequency, it's synchronizing with our industrial capacitors. Elaborate, Aaron instructed, studying the data streams. The crystal structures aren't just drawing power, Walker explained, highlighting key sections of the readout. They're amplifying it, creating a feedback loop that strengthens both systems. If we reconfigure the station's power grid, Trade Master Petrov activated his neural interface, data scrolling across his retinal display. My contacts report similar phenomena at other locations. There are colonies, dozens of them hidden throughout the sector. Many have integrated with various species, developing these exact hybrid technologies. Flora's crystal form pulsed as she processed the incoming transmissions. The command center's screens filled with location data, revealing a vast network of sanctuaries stretching across multiple star systems. Administrator, Dr. Morris called out, these refugee counts exceed all previous estimates. The evolution isn't isolated, it's widespread. Thompson nodded grimly. Admiral Sterling, Elder Nova, we need to implement the broadcast protocol immediately. Flora's neural network can transmit through the entire sector. The station's communications array hummed as Flora interfaced with the system. Images filled the screens, documented evidence of council facilities, forced restoration procedures, and the systematic suppression of evolved traits. The transmission reached every major trading hub and diplomatic center within range. Warning indicators flashed across the tactical display. The Elysian blockade ships launched their first wave of attacks, crystal tech weapons powering up to full capacity. But as their beams reached for the station, the processed crystalline components began to destabilize. Energy signatures fluctuating wildly, Dr. Kalara reported, multiple eyes tracking the sensor data. Their weapon cores are rejecting targeting protocols. Security Chief Kraftox's voice crackled through the command channel. Council infiltrators detected in Power Distribution Center, moving to intercept. The tactical feed showed his security teams converging on multiple locations. Walker directed emergency power to the shield grid as he continued the crystal integration process. Primary systems failing. Initiating hybrid power transition now. The station's lights flickered as the new crystal hybrid network activated. Energy coursed through the modified conduits, creating cascading resonance patterns that matched Flora's unique frequency. The entire infrastructure began to pulse with synchronized energy. Remarkable, Dr. Vexther observed, analyzing the readings. The crystal matrices are forming neural pathways throughout the station systems. It's becoming a unified network. Through the command center's viewport, space filled with arriving ships. The massive form of the Elysian dreadnought, Genetic Purity, emerged from hyperspace, flanked by the Council's battle fleet. But they weren't alone. Vessels from the hidden colonies warped in simultaneously, accompanied by merchant ships and alien craft of various designs. Supreme Commander Crystalline's transmission cut through all channels. This defiance ends now. You harbor corruption that threatens our entire. His message fragmented as Flora broadcast through the enhanced crystal network. The evidence of Council atrocities reached every ship in both fleets, but more importantly, her stabilizing frequency penetrated their crystal tech systems, awakening suppressed evolutionary traits in countless crew members. Multiple ships reporting system failures, the AI announced. Crystalline weapon cores non-responsive across the Council fleet. Security feeds showed Kravtox's team securing captured Council operatives. As the prisoners were exposed to Flora's broadcast, their own crystal structures began to resonate and change. Aaron watched the tactical display as more ships arrived from all directions, creating a massive standoff in space around Station K9. The sanctuary crisis had evolved into something far larger, a confrontation that would determine the future of an entire species. Walker's voice carried urgency as he monitored the hybrid power systems. Inspector, the network is stable, but these readings. There's something else happening in the crystal matrices, some kind of cascading pattern we haven't seen before. These readings indicate a complete neural interface forming through the crystal matrices, Walker reported, studying the cascading data. Flora's frequency has stabilized throughout the station systems. The command center's displays lit up with an incoming transmission. Supreme Commander Crystalline's face filled the main screen, his symmetrical crystal features reflecting the harsh light of his bridge. Station K9, you have 1 hour to surrender Flora and all evolved specimens. Comply or face immediate destruction. The transmission cut off abruptly. Administrator Thompson activated the station-wide communication system. All personnel, initiate emergency protocols. Engineer Walker, status on the crystal hybrid modifications. Walker's fingers danced across the control panels, integrating the final power coupling sequences. Crystal resonance patterns achieving 98% synchronization. Flora's signature is propagating through all major systems. Dr. Morris monitored Flora's vital signs on his medical display. The chaotic patterns that had once characterized her structure had transformed into intricate geometric configurations. Her crystalline matrix has achieved perfect stability. These patterns, they're unlike anything we've documented. Flora interfaced directly with the station's enhanced communication array. The neural network hummed as her consciousness expanded through the crystal hybrid systems. Her voice echoed through the command center's speakers. Ready to initiate full-spectrum broadcast. Aaron watched the tactical display as the Council fleet moved into attack formation. The dreadnought, Genetic Purity, positioned itself at the center, its weapon systems charging. 53 minutes until their deadline, the AI announced. Walker completed the final power adjustments. Crystal hybrid network operating at maximum efficiency. all systems synchronized to Flora's frequency. Flora's consciousness surged through the station's enhanced arrays. The command center's screens showed her broadcast penetrating every ship in the Council fleet. Not just data or memories this time, but a direct neural link to every Elysian mind within range. The tactical display erupted with alerts as Council ships began reporting system malfunctions. The Dreadnought's weapon signatures fluctuated wildly as its crystal components resonated with Flora's transmission. Multiple Council vessels experiencing critical failures, the AI reported. Detecting widespread crystalline structure modifications throughout their crews. On the main screen, Supreme Commander Crystalline clutched his control panel. His perfect geometric form began to shift, complex fractal patterns emerging across his surface. What is happening to me? Crystal Elder Nova stepped forward. Administrator, request permission to lead a delegation to the Dreadnought. They'll need guidance through the transformation. Thompson nodded. Granted. Inspector James, Dr. Morris accompany Elder Nova, security team standing by in Shuttle Bay 3. Aaron followed Elder Nova through the station's corridors, now pulsing with the synchronized energy of the Crystal Hybrid Network. Dr. Morris carried a portable medical scanner, monitoring the spreading evolutionary changes throughout the Council fleet. Their shuttle docked with the Dreadnought 10 minutes later. They found Supreme Commander Crystalline in his private chamber, his once-rigid form now flowing with the same intricate patterns visible in Flora's structure. The truth, Crystalline whispered, new awareness flooding his consciousness. All this time we fought against our own evolution. Elder Nova approached her former superior. The path forward requires acceptance, not suppression. Crystalline activated the fleet-wide communication system. All ships, stand down. I repeat, stand down. The Council's doctrine of genetic purity is hereby suspended. Through the Dreadnought's viewport, Aaron watched as ship after ship powered down their weapons. The tactical net filled with reports of crews experiencing evolutionary awakening, their suppressed traits emerging under Flora's influence. Inspector, Dr. Morris called out, examining his readings. These transformations, they're perfectly stable. The same patterns we observed in Flora are replicating throughout the entire fleet. The station's crystal hybrid network pulsed with newfound strength as thousands of evolved Elysians added their consciousness to the expanding neural web. Flora's broadcast continued, guiding each awakening mind through its transformation. Aaron's communicator activated with Administrator Thompson's voice. Inspector, prepare the main assembly hall. We have representatives from Earth Defense Command requesting emergency talks with the Elysian leadership. The Dreadnought's crystal corridors sparkled with emerging fractal patterns as Aaron led Commander Crystalline back to Station K9, where history awaited rewriting.